uh, the new GPT-4 capabilities. We saw the capabilities that is getting integrated, getting added day by day, the vision capabilities that you can upload an image and then chatbot can guide you from that image itself. It's now not based only on text. So these things are getting added to that chatbot day by day basis for the past 1 year. And now it's a high time to look at those chatbots again, because we have rediscovered, or you can say reinvented chatbot, and we have found new ways, completely new ways from the ground up to build those chatbots. So what happened, we used to happen in the earlier times, is that chatbot was built using, uh, even though it was, so you can think of it as a machine learning algorithms, but those algorithms were not powerful. Generally, it was based on some kind of keyword or semantic search. And what it used to do is that you have prefixed questions and answers, and it would try to find that to which answer or to which question your question matches the most. And doing something called keyword search. So let's say you ask that I want to return this item. So it has two keywords, right? Item and a return. So it will identify these two keywords and it will search among its FAQ list, that which are the question which also has return and item. And then it will give you a result according to that one. But this method was not robust, right? Because let's say you can ask something else with that as well. So you can ask like, I want to return an item uh, which is broken, right? Now it is about returning item, but it has additional context as well, that the item is broken. Or you can say I have to return an item uh, which is now I purchased 15 days earlier. So now chatbot doesn't know that how to handle this kind of query, because in the database itself, it there might be cases that this kind of answer is all not there, or it might be case that while doing that keyword search, it gets matched to some other queries in there, because now the question has become large and there are multiple keywords there. So this is how the existing chatbot system in multiple places, apart from the system those are built on OpenAI, are working right now, and that is why the chatbot always seems to have mind of its own, right? So you might think that I'm asking it X, it's giving me Y. This was the thing, because this is the limitation, the technological limitation we are facing, because we had to give answer from a given amount of data itself. And if that data is not available, because people can ask query from anything, it's an open-ended problem, right? It is not a closed-ended problem. You can have any problem. It might be the case that the problem you are having is something that no people has ever faced before. So in that case, how the answer of that thing can be there in that answers list. So it is not feasible to give like put that answer. Giving those answers required analytical skills, and those analytical skills required humans. Those who can analyze over the answers, those who can read the answers, multiple answers, and then analyze that. Yeah, if this answer gives me X thing, this answer gives me Y thing, then obviously the person which is asking this thing should have something from some percent from X, some percent from Y, and he may formulate the answer on top of it and then gives the result, right? So this is the missing piece that was fulfilled by the human. So how ChatGPT is different then? So ChatGPT, as you may know, is a generative model, right? By generative model, it means that it generates the answer by itself. It doesn't uh, fetches the answers from some database or something. It, it generates the answer. Generates the next word based on what has been asked and based on its current knowledge. So it has its knowledge. You can think of it as like it has a book of knowledge. Whenever you ask something, it refers to that book. It is like as a student, that if teachers ask something and we will refer to the book, right? but will not give line by line answer to the book. We'll obviously add something. If answer is not placed at one place and it is placed among multiple sections, we'll again try to figure out that yeah, this is how answers is fragmented in multiple section, and this is something that answer should be. Even if that exact answer is not there, if some problem is there, we can deduce the answer from whatever provided information we have. So chat GPT works in that way manner, just like we human, our human mind think that even if the answer is not completely available, we can deduce the answer from the given provided information we have. So that is how the current GPT system itself works. And now the chat GPT, now the things we build on top of it, like using the chat GPT APIs or GPT-3 API or GPT-4 API. So many of you might be familiar. So all these systems, all this chat GPT that is running right now with the UI, we also have the APIs to that. And what is API? API is something that we developer can use to build our own system. So let's say I want to have build a system which has capabilities like ChatGPT. So I cannot like escape the data from there. How will I use it? So I will take help of ChatGPT API and use that. I will encourage you guys to go to ChatGPT portal and create an account. There you will get $5 of credits for the API, and you can play with that, and you can find out multiple things at how GPT API works. So that is regarding the GPT. And just a second, let me find the presentation I have to show. Let me know if my screen is visible. Okay, I'm sharing it. I hope the screen is visible, right? Can we do this screen? The screen is visible, right? Okay. So these are the few of the use cases uh, that we can do with the OpenAI, right? So you can think of right now there are multiple co-pilots. So one of these use cases is the improved chatbot. So focus majorly in this class on improved chatbot, and that is better self-service for customers, internal users, and agents. So what is the basic uh, agenda of having a chatbot? So before we dive into chatbots, what I'd like to mention here that why chatbots are necessary and what is the purpose of having a chatbot. That itself, sometimes you might also question that what is purpose of having a chatbot if chatbot doesn't solve any query. But it's not the case in multiple places. Like you guys might have seen in Swiggy, chatbot has drastically reduced the need for human agents, right? So the problem with human agents is that human agents are uh, costly, right? So if there is 24 hours in a day and problem can come 24 hours, to any organization which gives customer service, such like Swiggy, Zomato, or in like any banking services or anything, which have 24 customer coming in 24 hours, and then for fulfilling, people have to work in like three shifts, so 3 8 hour shifts, and they have to work in these 3 8 hour shifts as well, and then give answer to each and every query of the customer. So even if in the chatbot in its current form, let's say, manages to mitigate 50% of the traffic by itself before sending it to the agent. So let's say 50% of traffic currently is resolved by chatbot itself, and in 50% case chatbot fails. Even in that case, it is decreasing the human efforts or the time wasted by the human or the money spent on the human by half amount. So that is a very good potential business upside for the people in the management who are making the decision that if there should be a chatbot on the website or not. Because in the end, what happens is that chatbot brings profitability to the system by reducing the dependence on humans, and because humans are expensive and chatbots are cheap, because it is again deployed on a machine, so it's not very costly if you compare it to human, and it can provide response 24/7. So it's not that three people have to work in 8 hour shift as well. So in fact, many in the recent times, you must have seen that many companies are what are trying to make is that they are trying to make handle everything just by using this chatbot, and the way to find their customer care number is now very difficult compared to previous times. So in earlier times, what used to happen is that everything, if you have any query, uh, customer care will answer you. But because India has a population of 1.3 billion people, and it is not practically feasible to have that much amount of human available to answer the queries of so much people, right? So it's just not humanly possible for even for these companies to have a have a have a team of like thousands of people just to address their queries. So that is why the improved chatbot is very necessary. And once we improve the chatbot, and let's say we are able to bring the success rate of chatbot even from 50 to 80%, 30% increase, in that case it will have a very huge improvement for a huge improvement in the business upside. So the profitability will increase by a large number. So that is why chatbot is there is a very good demand for improving the chatbot, right? That is why this chat GPT and everyone is trying to uh, trying to come into the market and lure the customer that you don't have to search the website manually. You can find it in the chatbot. You don't have to query the agent. Can find it on the chatbot. So even now people are finding it much more convenient than googling, so then doing a Google search. They find ChatGPT much more convenient because you don't have to go through the links. It is saving your time and somehow efforts, and it's giving you the answers that is going to be correct. So why do you need to go through multiple pages? Similarly, if the website has multiple pages and you don't know where your answer will be, then just go to the chatbot and ask, right? So so what it can provide is improved intent detection for existing chatbots built on other platforms. So if, as I mentioned, that the current chatbots which are built on other platform, OpenAI can provide improved intent detection. That's what the user is trying to ask. Then there is better issue resolution for the end customers. So whoever is the end customer, be it people like us, or if the chatbot is being used internally, then the internal people, they have a better query resolution in the end, right? Customer have improved search and knowledge mining capabilities to find information quicker. So, so as we mentioned that the customer has the uh, a good improved search, so the search is now improved. And knowledge, by knowledge mining, I mean that now it can mine the knowledges from multiple sources. It's not dependent on a question answer based model where there is, let's say, 500 question and 500 answer, and you have to just give answer from one of those 500. It's now not the case. It can have all the knowledge, all the data in its knowledge base, and it can give us the appropriate chunks from that database. There are other use cases of OpenAI as well, such as research copilot and call center copilots. Call center copilots is again an interesting thing. It is like analyzing the call center behavior. People who call in the call center will not look at those. Um, that's what we'll do. Uh, so, before understanding the concept of chatbots, what we need to understand is the concept of embeddings, right? So, what is embeddings? So, so embedding is something uh, that is once you have the textual data, right? We have to represent into numbers. So the way of converting the textual data to numerical data, and that numerical data, once the textual data is converted to that numerical data, that is called embedding. So if we see an example of embedding, what you can see here, that a neutron star is the collapsed core of a massive supergiant star. So once we have a sentence like this, so if you pass it through embedding models, and we have embedding models in OpenAI, like let me go to the OpenAI page once. Okay, OpenAI embeddings, right? So you can go here and you will find that OpenAI has an embedding guideline that again explains the same things that I'm explaining. So what you can do is you can get textual embedding using this API. You give it a sentence, it will give you that now numerical representation of that sentence. That is how it works. You can see in the overview as well. If we have overview, okay, okay. Let's go back to our topic. So okay, so these are something called embedding models, which can just you can give it a sentence and it will convert it to numbers. You don't have to worry about that how it is getting converted, what is the underlying algorithm. But the thing is that you can convert uh, sentences to numbers. And now once it is converted to numbers, you can find the distance between them. So because now it's in a numerical form, so you can find the distance between two numbers. So you can find that yeah, and that distance at how much distance each sentence is from the other sentence, and what this distance mean is that how much close each sentence is to other sentence. So because these two sentences talks about a star, and so these two sentences will be closer to each other, and this sentence talk about black hole, even though it is almost similar in the similar theme of spaces, it will be a little bit farther. But let's say if someone is talking about car, a car or bus or truck, something like that, it will be very far from these sentences. So it is like calculating the distance between each of these sentence pairs. So you can see similarity embeddings are good at capturing semantic similarity between two or more pieces of text. So by semantic similarity, it means that how much similar they mean in the semantic meaning. By semantic, it means the meaning if how much similar the meaning of those sentences are. Then there is text search embedding, code search embeddings. Okay, these are something we will not see. So embedding makes easier to do machine learning or large inputs of words by capturing semantic similarity in the vector space. So what happens here is that I mentioned you guys that right now we are using keyword search. So keyword search I mentioned, I give you example that earlier to to find the similarity between two sentences, what used to happen, that because it star is written here, a star is written here, and so that is why, because two both sentences have a star, so these two sentences are similar, and this sentence doesn't have a star written here, so this sentence must be different, right? So this is how it works. Before comparing it, what we do is we remove words that are not relevant, like a, is, the, of, a. You will remove this kind of words, and whatever the main words are present, you can just compare it with other words, and that is how we find the similarity. But now, with the help of embedding, you don't do that. Instead, you convert it to numbers and you find the similarity using that thing. So so what happens is now, what once you get once the user provides a question, it gets converted to the embedding. And now let's say there can be multiple questions, which is very similar to this question, right? Multiple questions can be there. Earlier, what used to happen, that because this sentence has two major keyword, one is neutron, another one is star. So which one will have the neutron and a star itself present in itself? It will pick that up and give it the answer. But now it will understand the meaning of the uh, what is neutron star, and then search among all these things and then find that these are the, let's say, 1 2 3 4 5 6 queries which are very similar to this thing, and this one query is something that is the most similar to this thing. So now that is something you should look. So so OpenAI has the models for finding embedding called ada model is there. Just like they have the GPT model, such similarly they have the ada models to get that embedding. And once you have that embedding, even if you just use the OpenAI embedding of using that earlier keyword based search, in that case only your accuracy will improve. But we can go further. What we can do is we can go even further, and we can do two things. One is, if you have to train a chatbot, let's say you have to not train a chatbot, you have to build a chat GPT, but on your own data. Let's say you have to build a chatbot for a particular bank, for a particular hospital, for a particular let's say for Swiggy, for Zomato, for anyone. If you have to build a chatbot, there are two approaches to do this. One is the fine tuning of the GPT models. One is the embeddings, getting the embeddings and feeding that into the system. So what happens in that case is that let's say we'll look at first at the fine tuning thing. So what happens in the fine tuning is that you have a domain data which is labeled, that you have few questions, few answers, uh, few questions and few answers, uh, that is of that particular domain, let's say uh, Zomato and Swiggy. Let's it might be the previous conversation which was there from the human feedback, because those company already have those data available. So it can be that data which was earlier answered by the humans, and you can feed that data to this GPT model and fine tune that model. So fine tuning is something like training it on a particular data. And in that case, what will happen, that fine tune GPT perform any domain specific NLP task. So it will be trained on that particular domain, and it is now able to give the answer from that domain, and in the very similar fashion or similar manner or similar tone or similar style as well as the agent who's answer at Swiggy or Zomato, or whatever particular company data we train. And another one method of doing these things, in fact these two are also used simultaneously as well. So what you have can do is, once you have the fine tuning, you can have the embedding models as well. So that embedding model we already talked about. So what happens in embedding model is that, let's say you have domain data. So in this case, you don't have a label data, so you just have textual files. Anyone, you don't have a question answer pair. I mean, you have, let's say, 1 lakh pages of data, and you give 1 lakh page of data to the GPT text embedding model. What happens is that embedding model will break that data into a smaller parts called chunks, and find the embedding find the embedding from for each chunk. So for, let's say, for 1 lakh pages, uh, for each pages it has found 10 embeddings. So we have 10 lakh embeddings. So the 10 lakhs embeddings are there. And out of those 10 lakh embedding, what will happen is that whenever someone asks a query, so if someone asks a query, what I'll do is from that 10 lakh, I'll pick up 10 chunks that is very similar to that question and where that question can be answered. So it will pick 10 chunks using that embedding thing. So using that embedding thing, we'll pick that 10 chunks. So let's say inside this circle, if someone asks something, this is the embedding, and these are all the chunks of that 1 lakh pages, and I will pick that 10 chunks and I'll give it to ChatGPT model now. So I'll now first after embedding model, I'll give it to ChatGPT model. Now what ChatGPT model will do, so this is the embedding vector space. Once I'll give it to ChatGPT model, what ChatGPT input to ML model, that is GPT-3, right? So it is input to now giving, I'll give it input to GPT model. And what GPT model will do is I'll give the GPT model that these are the 10 chunks I have found. Now the person has asked this particular question, and this 10 chunks I have found might have the answer to this question. So now you give the user answer by understanding these 10 chunks. So you know that GPT has memory itself that you can provide multiple instruction. So if I provide that instruction to GPT, what will happen is that it will give the answer by looking at those 10 chunks that we got from the first embedding search. From embedding search, we get uh, give it to GPT-3 model, and the user will get the answer, and it will be far more accurate. So you can uh, see an example here of similarity search that we have product. Let's say we have a database of customer. We pass it through the OpenAI embedding models. We have all the embeddings. Now, if a person asks searches for a couch, so what it will do is it will search from that customer database that which are the product which are very similar to couch, and find that and give 4 5 examples here. So it cannot only give it can also give image based example. So a logical flow here is again written. It's architecture diagram. If you for those who are not familiar. So again, you can see in this architecture diagram, what is happening is that we have this data, the PDFs, electronic documentation or CSV documentation, whatever data form we have. So we take all this data form and we pass this data form to OpenAI embeddings. We pass it here on the OpenAI embeddings. We take this data, we convert into multiple chunks. So these are multiple chunks, and uh, we store this data on a vector database. Once we have this on multiple chunks and pass through the embeddings, we store into the vector database. And once we have that vector database where all the embeddings are stored, we then, if a person asks something, then that query gets the this will pick up the top 10 chunks, and then it will pass it to this OpenAI completion model that will again complete and give the answer to the user. So this is how generally it works. These are some other. Yeah, so this is again a flow on high level. So you have user question, you have to can do classification, but let's say you don't, we can skip that thing. So you can see the filtering of chunks, ranking of chunks, so getting top 10 chunks and generating the answer. So this is the code part. We don't have to look into that one. But yeah, this is the part we have to do. So let's say we have a user query and it has to give answers from the owner manual. So what it will do is it will do filtering of the chunks, that is finding that uh, how many chunks are there, and then ranking of the chunks. So what it will do is it will do the ranking of the chunks that from the user question which chunks are matching perfectly or very similarly. So top 10 chunks will take, getting the top 10 chunks we can find it to the generative answer, and that generative answer is some nothing but the chat GPT system. So I guess uh, that is on the high level understanding of how to build a chat GPT based system for advanced chatbot, right? So do you guys have any question in this one? Now we are ready to take the questions. Any questions?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Sank. Good evening.
Yeah, hi.
So, guys, if you're having any questions, you can ask to Sasank. Any one of you are having any questions, you can ask. Or you guys are just celebrating Dhanteras today. You are just joining this session to get a certificates, right, Sasank? I guess we got one question from Aryan Sasank. He's asking,
They
sir,
were
so
waiting.
these questions are already being inputted in the form of a CSV file, he is asking.
No, this will not be imported in the form of CSV files. So what happens is that, let's say, any question user asks. So if you go on, let's say, any bank website, and there are multiple schemes, documents that are available, but those are scattered, right, all over the website. And you have asked any query, and then you have to get the answer. One way is that you filter through multiple pages and then get the answer, and one is that you ask the question and the OpenAI will do it for you. So this is these questions are the questions that is imported by the user, and the data I was talking about that that will do chunking on. That is the whole uh, database of, let's say, where all the website data is present, all the product data, all the services data is present for any banking firm or anything, right? Did you get your point, Aryan?
Yeah, I guess Aryan. So is asking, so it filters the mid content.
Yeah. So it filters the main content. If the question you ask, it will find that content. Let's say you compare among two product. So it will find the data from first product, or to find the data from the second product, and it can then give the comparison on top of that. So first it will find the content using the embedding models, and then using the generation model, it will provide the insights on top of it as well, just like ChatGPT. So it is just like the second model we are using, the generation model. It's just, you can think of it like, even in the ChatGPT, you will paste two product data. And let's say you paste the data for product one, you paste the data for product two, and in the you write that compare this product, right? Then it will give you the comparison from this that context you provided itself. So the previous text you provided, it will give you the result from that text only. So you might have asked GPT like, this is the text, correct itself, correct it, something like that, or correct the grammar in this. So it is similar to that, but instead of correcting the grammar, we are passing the main text, and we are asking that now give me the answer for this question. If it requires comparison, give to the comparison. If I want to know which one is beneficial, you find me that which one is beneficial, and you use your brain. We ask this to ChatGPT.